Welcome to another episode of Short Summary Lecture. My name is Aravind and we are in Unit 1, Planning, Controlling and Leading a Project. Today's subtopic is about project monitoring and control. And we will be covering the following areas today. Risk factors that may impede completion of a project, risk management process and managing risk, project monitor and control, importance and development of contingency plans. Projects are inherently risky. So how do we tackle projects? So it is important to analyze the project risk and undertake immediate action to mitigate the risk. Remember, risk cannot be eliminated 100%. We can always mitigate or reduce their impact. What causes project risk? There are several factors that causes project risk. Some of the factors are highlighted here. Scope creep risk. How do you explain a scope creep risk? For example, when we wanted to develop a product, we initiated with 3 features, but later on, once the development stage has gone forward, we wanted to have the product with 7 additional features. So it involves the scope of the project becoming larger over a period of time. Cost, where you have a budget overrun. Maybe at the time when we have budgeted, the cost is not the same when we are actually procuring it or purchasing it. Sometimes it can be due to inflation or maybe several other reasons, currency fluctuations, etc. Communication risk is more important. Why? If the project team does not have the clarity, or if there is a delay in reporting, then there could be a risk in the project. Also, operational risk on the other side, where if you do not have a proper control environment, it can also lead to project risk. Skill resource risk is where staff incompetency with a particular skill. So for example, if the project team does not have application to a particular software, or if they are not being trained enough, then it could lead to a resource risk. It is also important for us to understand when it comes to risk, whether the risk is high, medium, or low. How do we manage risk? Well, we have the risk management process to take care of it. First, we need to identify the risk. We need to list out as to what are the risks that are affecting our project. Once the identification is done, then we need to sit and analyze. We can analyze the risk in 2 ways, its likelihood and its impact. When we say likelihood, we can grade it in a way of medium, high, or low. When it comes to impact, the impact can be categorized in terms of the financial impact or the schedule impact. Financial impact is what would be the additional cost that we may have to incur. When it comes to scheduling impact, by how many days or weeks or by months, the project is going to get overrun. So once the risk has been analyzed, then it's a matter of planning. What steps that we need to take in terms of managing the risk. And finally, we have a risk monitoring, which is going to be of a continuous process. Managing risk can be associated with the framework called TARA. To simply understand, TARA means transfer, accept, reduce, and avoid. Well, there is likelihood and impact. When the likelihood is low and the impact is low, then you might have to accept the risk. Why? Because the outcome is going to be minimal. When the likelihood is high and the impact is low, then you can reduce the risk. How? By way of implementing internal controls or providing training and development for the staff. If the impact is high and the likelihood is low, then it is going to be transfer. The strategy is going to be transfer. How? Maybe by way of insurance agency, where we ask them to take care of that particular risk. If the likelihood is high and the impact is high, then it's better to avoid that. Project monitoring. Project monitoring is an important area. Why? Because it will keep a close eye when the project or how the project is progressing. So project monitoring is the process of keeping a close eye on the entire project management life cycle and ensuring project activities are on the track. If I want to relate to a practical example, it is like a person who has got a cardiac arrest, and while admitting at the hospital, the nurse will keep on checking on the pulse rate to see whether there are any recovery. So similarly, it is important for us to monitor the project on a continuous interval. It gives us better visibility into how the project is shaping up. Also, better resources of management to see how efficiently we have managed the resources. It can also lead to cost optimization. And while the project is being monitored, it also reduces the risk of delivery. How are we going to monitor these tools? Well, these tools are already been defined in the planning stage, and there are certain tools that have been highlighted here. You have the Gantt chart, milestone schedule, control charts, project monitoring software, regular meetings, and budget versus actual. Gantt chart is an alternative to network analysis, where the duration of the project is represented graphically. There are two bars where one will have the duration of the project, the budgeted duration of the project, and the other will have the actual duration of the project. Milestone schedules are also important. Why? Because project as a team members will be able to know to what level have they progressed when it comes to the milestones. Control chart is where to determine the process, whether it is stable or it has a predictable value. It has an upper limit and a lower limit. And for example, cost variance, whether it is in the acceptable variance. Project monitoring software is where you can feed the data and we will be able to get all the necessary details of like scheduling, planning, and also analysis part can be done. Regular meetings also give you feedback as to how the project is shaping up. Also, the budget versus actual, which is a more important thing to know how well have we progressed when it comes to the cost. Importance and development of a contingency plan. In this topic, we will be learning about why it is important to have a contingency plan, or you may call it as a backup plan. Unlike risk, uncertainty is impossible to evaluate. For example, it's the COVID. We were never expected that the entire country will, or the entire world gets into a shutdown mode or lockdown mode, you may call it. We never anticipated something to happen like this. So uncertainty is impossible to evaluate because it is impossible to assign probability to an uncertain event. To deal with uncertainties, it is important to develop contingency plan. So how do we define a contingency plan? Contingency planning involves considering alternative actions which could be taken if uncertain events occur. So we know that project is also associated with risk, but while we also have the risk, we also have uncertainty. So during an uncertainty time, how are we going to manage? So that is where contingency plan comes into play. For example, contacting lenders to discuss possible additional finance, in the sense that if you are not able to, or in the sense that if you feel that fundings are not available, we might have to go for additional finance to complete the project. Replanning the remaining project with a longer duration. And identifying if required materials are available from other possible supplies. Rather than sticking to one person, you may also have alternative options in case of an emergency where we will be able to procure from them. So in summary, you can see project management and tool techniques where it takes you through the tools, how to manage the time, tools of managing the risk and uncertainty, project management software, what does it do, the tools for managing the quality, and also the project management methodology as to how we manage the projects, and also tools for managing activities and costs. So this is the summary. Thank you.